Hello, Taurus. Welcome to the month of April 2025. My name is Steve, and this is Soul Fire Tarot. S-O-L, Soul, the Sun. All right, let's see what's going on for the month of April in the cards, Divine Signs. I have the Psychic Tarot. I'll be pulling some bigger, broader themes through this. The Rosicrucian Tarot deck and Obsidian Orb to glean deeper psychic insights into the spread. All right, let's see what's coming up, what's happening in the ethers. We have two cards together here. We have the Shadow card. Haha. Shadow, duality, light and dark. For everything that is in the light may cast a shadow, unless it is pure light. But even that will create shadows on other things that are in between the light and the darkness. We also have the Rest and Rejuvenation card. Taking time out to rest, rejuvenate, ground, contemplate, reflect. Let the waters of our being gather. Let the air of our mind become clear so that we may reignite or how we are making use of our time in this life. Interesting. So I'm going to have those up here. Now we'll go into more fine grained spread. Yeah, interesting. Underneath the shadow, we have the sun reversed. Usually the sun upright is taken as a card of, yes, positivity, manifestation, creation, joy, bliss, the light of life, providence, positive sign. Seeing this in the reverse, I feel like it's suggesting cloudedness. And I feel like this connects with shadow. Perhaps there is something in the shadow, Taurus, that is preventing the emanation and the reception of the light of the sun to the place of innocence in the pillars of life. Next we have, with that, the Six of Pentacles in reverse, perhaps hesitating in making a step towards a direction through a new door, a new pathway where our fears are involved. Perhaps there is hesitation. Perhaps this transmission obstructing the sun connects to our fears. Perhaps there is something we have been avoiding. Perhaps it's something quite simple. And I feel like it connects with making a decision. And I feel like this brings into question what this decision is, and how does that relate with everything coming so far here. We see a woman in darkness outside of a house, in the moonlight, kissing almost, as it were, looking to kiss, waiting for Prince Charming perhaps to come, but she has her eyes closed. So this might be suggesting that we are desiring something to come to us. But if our eyes aren't open and we're expecting something to fall in our lap, is that the case? Might it be better to look, to see the landscape at large, to look at this thing, whatever it may be, perhaps to take a look into the shadow, the other side. And that is something I know by experience. Deep contemplation, meditation, simply taking time, giving yourself time to reflect, just in peace, solitude, to reflect. That's for me. I know it's not like that for everybody. We all have different makeups. So one thing that's right for one might not be right for another, but just dropping that pebble in anyways. We have also the Five of Wands here, one of grappling, utilizing your strength to manage many things. I see in this card, there's like these little people. They're not babies, but there's this woman, and she's like, there's a convergence of a great many different forces vying for attention, vying for our energy, our resources, our ability on this path that we walk in this field. There's a dark cloud and a white cloud. So yeah, I'm seeing that there's different forces influencing and impacting our desire and the results. But I feel like in the shadow side here, there's something hidden. It has to do perhaps with a decision or something in fear. And we'll get more clarity about that. Yeah, so the Five of Cups. This is a man who's grieving with some loss. Grief is a natural part of life. It's important and healthy to grieve the things that we've loved, that we've lost. So I wonder if there's some grieving, if there's some kind of letting go. Perhaps there's some sorrows. Perhaps something in our past has influenced something that informs the Sun in reverse with the Eight of Pentacles in reversed. We'll get there. Yeah, so we have the Ace of Cups here. I feel like this has to do with unblocking the flow of your emotions. I feel like, yeah, so this grief, letting the water flow, this beautiful fountain, and this opportunity to be able to reconnect and look within yourself to find what might be there within your emotional body that's informing the transmission of the sun. It's clouding the sun, and that might be that might help uncover this fear, perhaps a hidden fear, an unknown fear, something that's influencing the decision of what we're expecting and what we desire, but it's something in a blind spot. And there's these different forces at play. Sometimes it can be confusing, like, why is all this happening, right? But that's where the turning within can be so fruitful for. It's like, imagine like all these different relationships, all these things that have happened and that are in our life, the people around our life, our circumstances, everything we've experienced and lived, right? We have all these different vectors, forces. Think of it like lasers beaming into us, right? They're kind of influencing the total color and the makeup of the hologram of us, our experience of life, right? If there's things from within ourselves, whether it's from the past or something that's, kind of, imagine this one laser, like, let's say you don't like purple. There's a purple laser in your otherwise golden and green makeup, and we're like, why does this purple stuff keep coming through? You can turn the mirror, the eye within, and kind of be like, oh yeah, there's this purple laser over there. That's where it's coming from. I don't need that. I'm going to redirect that. Somebody else wants that purple laser, or I don't need that purple laser. I'm going to turn that purple laser off. And all of a sudden it's not going to be within the spectrum of your experience as much anymore. So to continue, yes, the Empress. Exactly. Finding emotional balance, finding emotional wholeness, and a kind of maturity with these feelings. So this is somebody who is very much in touch with their feelings, somebody who is not ruled by their feelings, but greatly informed by them, somebody whose depth of feeling, their perhaps empathy, is one of their greatest strengths. And sometimes, empathy, sensitivity can be, it can make us very vulnerable, right? To be like, I'm feeling the feels, feeling people's feels, right? But like when we can get in a place of centeredness and power, like that can be such a gift for others, to have that intelligence. Be like, you know what? I feel how you're feeling. And it connects to this, right? And then, if we can help somebody else, that can help us in turn, I mean, that might not be exactly what's going on here. But see the Empress, somebody who has found that, and that is landing underneath the Rest in Rejuvenation card. So let's keep pulling underneath that theme here. Yeah, we have the Knight of Wands. This is somebody who, this is an energy of blazing forward, passionately towards something, but there's kind of a recklessness in the energy of this. There's kind of a emblazoned glory, right? Just like, I'm going to go do this no matter what, and I'll deal with the consequences later. But I feel like what this is saying is something about, this was in the reversed, actually, I believe. Taurus is, just to be cautious about like, hold your horses there. That's what I feel like I'm getting from this. Like, hold your horses underneath this Rest and Rejuvenation. I feel like there's perhaps for some of you a necessity to kind of like pull back a little bit and like really kind of reflect, let the waters gather, take time to rest and rejuvenate, not quite literally, but for spirit and emotionally too. Yep, and then we have the Princess of Pentacles. So this has to do with how you're carrying forward what you have to be able to contribute towards basically having success in the material world. Somebody in a position of confidence. They're looking over the horizon, they're holding the sphere. They have this kind of like overlay of this valley with fertile fruits that have been grown by the works and efforts and planning of many people carefully, to create this. A lot of things have to be in order to produce this bounty that is quite valuable, right? So I feel like for some of you, perhaps this is suggesting something to do with work, something to do with your material life, perhaps at home or more directly related in work. Perhaps there's something new. Yeah, and we have the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, and this is kind of like taking your time with what it is that you are working on. And, this is somebody, I see him as kind of like looking through these things that he is growing and kind of like sifting through and kind of accounting for the different elements that have come together. If something's not working, we have to kind of like tweak it, right? We have to learn, we have to adapt. And it's his job, to look after these things and how they're growing, and you want the good stuff, right? The good stuff is valuable. Other people want the good stuff, so yeah, I feel like, especially underneath Rest and Rejuvenation and this kind of like time out to like reflect, I feel like this is kind of calling into kind of like reflect again on kind of what we're doing and how things are working here. So all right, I'm going to gather up the cards again, and then I'll draw another subset. Yeah, so I feel like for some of you, you're questioning like the work that you've been involved in or where you're going, like if this is like the right decision, because here we have the Ten of Pentacles underneath the Five of Pentacles in reversed. So some of you might be considering like, is this my legacy? Is this really going to be prosperous? Is this going to be a good thing that will have long-term, you know, like stability, something that will give in return and, you know, provide for security and beauty, you know, and stability throughout your life. We see a couple kind of romantically in the background here. It's kind of hard to see, but it almost looks like they're eloping, and it's very romantic. And we see this old man here, but this is in reverse. So, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like there's some question there. Yeah, and we have the High Priestess, which directly is saying like trust your intuition, you know, trust your intuition about these things. Um, yeah, we have the Seven of Wands. You know, there's breakthroughs. I feel like this is kind of a tremendous time, even though I feel like it's kind of like the spread is kind of communicating like time for yin time, you know, yin yang activity, inactivity, right? In activity. Yeah, I see the Seven of Wands here, kind of connecting below the Knight of Wands, which is that like hold your horses, blazing glory forward, you know, regardless of the consequences, kind of thing. And then the Princess of Pentacles, you know, kind of looking over the land and taking more responsibility of how things are kind of being productive and created, you know, in the bounty of life. We have the Seven of Pentacles here. See this man kind of looking like Gimli, red hair, you know, with a big shield and all these sticks breaking through, breaking free from certain kind of bonds that have held them back and tied down. So, yeah, I feel like there's this like strong urge for freedom here. And yeah, I was kind of drawing this in sequence with the Empress, or excuse me, the High Priestess, Priestess, like recess. Reese's Pieces? No, it's the Priestess. um, yeah, so I feel like for some of you, I'm seeing as well, going back to the Five of Wands, yeah, kind of breaking through. So again, I feel like this all kind of ties into some of the shadow, grief, and it's about emotional well-being, emotional fulfillment, and there's something at play with expectation and fear. And this is something at the core that is kind of obstructing the sun energy in the archetype. So interesting. Let's see here. I'm going to now use the Psychic Tarot to cap it off. I always get this. Oh my gosh, this comes through so much. This is the third eye chakra. Interesting. I think I misread it for Aries in the last one. I thought this was the throat, but this is the third eye. So again, that inner knowing, that inner vision, you know, going within, having insight, cultivating that ability, taking the time. Yeah. So this is the key signature of guidance here, you know, is like trusting your inner guidance, your inner vision, having a vision to see clearly, to know yourself, know thyself. It's powerful, my Taurian friends. So wonderful. All right, I'll be looking into the obsidian orb to see if we can glean some more magical, mystical insights. Yeah, I'm seeing a few couple things here. There's like troubles, insight, and then insurgency was coming to mind, or urgency. Trepidation. Yeah, there's this tremendous like kind of like urge to fight. There's an urge to fight and to kind of like break through and break free, but it's just like the natural ways of life and intelligence is kind of the rest and rejuvenation card, time for contemplation, reflection, gathering, looking within, adjusting those lasers I was talking about earlier. I feel like that's the way through here. And again, in the third eye chakra. have a heart, not to be heartless. For the heartlessness brings woe, sadness, grief, pain, misery. Yeah, I just keep on seeing, like, I have this picture of somebody like crying by the river. Just crying by the river, by a tree, just letting it flow, releasing that emotion. And it's okay. It's okay. That's good to release that energy, that emotion that's built up. I was dealing with some serious anxiety like a month ago from like some tooth pain trauma. Came back up and like didn't expect it. And then I was just like having panic attacks, nearly couldn't breathe. And went to the hospital, got out of the car. My girlfriend was there, and I just like hugged her. And then I like broke down in her arms and just like started sobbing uncontrollably. It was just a mess, but it like all of this anxiety, this, just this misery of knowing that I'm like, it's out of control, or just these soft-bodied creatures. It was such an emotional release, and I felt so much lighter, and I could breathe again. I could breathe easy. My nervous system was able to calm down. I'm seeing a broader arc of the kind of time wheel energy here. Yeah, so this all has to do with like your ascent and your success, Taurus. Which is really deep welling energy. Like I feel like this energy arc pattern, for those of you who are kind of dealing with this circumstance, overall, kind of signified in the spread. It's like a very deep arc. I'm kind of like seeing this like depth of like energy that it's like it pertains to kind of a large period of time. But what I'm seeing is that as the ascent, the more we work on kind of like tending the soil from within, it's equally, it's about kind of like transforming it, transmuting, alchemizing this stuff, will very much influence the arc going forward in the future now. So it's almost like this, like, it's this Jungian sense of like the negrito, the dark, black, rich, fertile soil, for new things that grow from that which is dead and dying, in an archetypal, psychological sense, emotionally, perhaps spiritually, with our identity or something. So even though this kind of sounds all dark and like challenging, I mean, I feel like that's why I'm here, and that's what I bring through these readings. Is it's not always going to be sugar coated. It's not always going to be like, oh yeah, positivity. Yep, everything's working for you. Great job. And not to poo-poo readers like that. That's great. There's something for everybody. But I definitely have kind of I come from my own experience in transforming pain and suffering, having to go through the darkness, to come to the light. So it's certainly worthwhile, and that's what I'm here for. So anyways, my name is Steve. Once again, thanks for tuning in, Taurus. I hope you find your time worthwhile, and that you may take the time you need to take a little time out or some time in to really think about those lasers. Well, with that, thanks for watching. If you want to give a thumbs up, greatly appreciate it. If you like it, if you don't like it, that's cool too. And subscribe if you want to follow for more. Peace.